Welcome, data enthusiasts. We are Zuma, the recruitment agency focused 100% on data tech professionals in and around the Berlin region. And today, this is our podcast, Data for Good, connecting you with all things data. And we are joined today by Angelita Sanches. Angelita is data engineering and BI manager at Omio. As you'll probably know, in Germany, where Omio has its HQ, along with offices around Europe. Omio is in travel tech, and they essentially are an international travel booking platform. Hi, Angelita. I nearly messed up all of that intro there.
No, it was perfect.
How did I do?
No, it's perfect. So thanks for the great introduction. As you mentioned, I'm Angelita, data engineering and BI manager at Omio. Omio is a company that has headquarters in Europe, and I'm Berlin-based, where the whole data team is, except for our VP that works from our London office in the moment. Yeah, and I've been working in the data-related fields for, should I say, more than 20 years? It make me look old. I just started early. I started
experienced.
Early. Yeah, exactly. And data quality is a topic that I really like. I feel that we haven't really cracked it yet in the field, not at Omio, but I have found a company that have fully solved the issue. So I'm really passionate about it. Yeah.
Super. So that is today's topic, data quality. And I expect or hope we're going to go through the challenges, maybe how to overcome them, or case examples that you've seen where data quality challenges can be overcome, and also your philosophy, your approach to it.
Great, let's do it.
Okay, super. So generally speaking, why is data quality such an important topic to you?
I don't think that is important just for me. I think that for the whole data field, for the whole industry, it's such an important topic. But I feel that data quality is something that really kills tremendous work. So it doesn't matter how good data engineer you are, how beautiful are your visualizations, if the information that you present, it's not correct, it's not relevant. The hard work that you have done is just destroyed and damaged, and to recover this image, it's very difficult later. So this is why I'm really attached to this topic.
So there's an element of efficiency in there, both in the kind of business sense, but personal and professional sense, i.e. gathering, transforming, and working with data generally, where it's not going to be used, is a waste of company costs, but it's also a waste of your time.
And very bad stamp in your career, I think, also, right? If you don't take care. And I think that data engineers team in general, they feel this pressure because there is this understanding in some companies that data engineering has the full responsibility of data quality. But in my perspective, it's not 100% true.
Yeah, I was going to ask, actually, where do you see the priority of data quality sitting? Do you see it sitting equally across analytics, where science is involved, and analytics engineering and data engineering, and even machine learning, or do you see it more on data engineering?
I think that data quality is a corporate topic, should not sit just in one team. So think with me. You have engineers that develop software. They are responsible for capture data and sometimes produce data. Then data teams are have the responsibility of collecting, reshape this data, and deliver for further consumption by different teams. Why does the team that is in between is the only one charged by data quality when you have someone capturing and producing this data and someone else consuming? I'm not saying that data engineering teams doesn't have this responsibility, but part of responsibility is there, right? It's just impossible to guarantee quality for a data that's not correctly captured. If the data input is not being well worked, designed, defined, there is no process, there is no technology that will save you from deliver bad data in the end. So in my philosophy, this is something that should have a corporate seat, I would say.
And certainly a strong data executive leadership priority also. Yeah. And for it to be a priority for data executive leadership, the company has to buy into data. They have to prioritize data and not just treat it as a service to the business.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, we're unraveling more and more. Excuse me. If it's possible to list them, what do you see as the impediments, the challenges to data quality that data engineers, data product managers, data analysts have to face week in, week out?
I think that depends on the industry, depends on the company. For me, each company in each industry, they are different societies with different behaviors, with different languages, with different concerns, right? But one thing that I feel that's quite common in startups or scaling up companies is that depending on the type of company they are very feature oriented. That means I'm a startup, I need to build a new feature, I have this time to market to achieve. If I don't do it faster, I will lose money in the end and I will not survive. So the speed is something that plays a huge role, and everything that's not considered the core of the product, and data is not usually the core of most products. It's a second citizen seat, but with time, it becomes more and more relevant, because on the moment after that feature was delivered, the questions start to arise. How do I measure it? Is this feature efficient? Is this version of my product better than the previous one? How do I measure that? And then that data that you just neglected during the first stage of your product life cycle, it's charged its price for not being considered in the first release, for example. So I think that thinking in data as a product, data as part of your main feature, is something that's not that common.
No, it's becoming more common with some of the tech businesses that we work with across the city. I wonder, as you mentioned startups there, are the challenges different with startups than they are with corporate entities, or let's say some of the common and huge e-commerce businesses around Berlin?
I think that they are different depending on the industry that you work, the level of regulation that the industry is submitted. So if you work in a bank, for example, you have some regulations that you need to fulfill. You have this Sarbanes-Oxley or Basel II that you need to be compliant. There are certain kind of data that you need to collect, you need to keep up to date, and then there are kind of reports that you need to deliver, and the consequences for not delivering that can be catastrophic. So in this sense, I feel that the level of governance of the data and corporates usually have these enterprise resources systems like SAP, where the data source that you use to produce reports or analytics, they are quite more structured, documented, governed. People don't put things on productions not that frequent as startups sometimes, which has a high level of control on the software development lifecycle, then the challenges are quite different. So when you work on smaller companies where the agile environment plays a huge role, you deliver features more frequently, and sometimes you have more turnover where the knowledge is lost quite frequently. It's a challenge to keep the data quality in place.
Okay, I wonder if by putting this in context, could you talk us through either a hypothetical or an experience that you've been through where you faced a data quality challenge and you overcame it, what you did to overcome it, or what you did to set a new data quality precedent?
Yeah, so one of the companies that I joined, usually when you arrive in a company, that's already there. You're not starting the company from scratch, right? You just arrive in that day, in that meeting, and someone says, hey, these numbers doesn't look correct. And then the first question that I have done in that situation is, why they don't look correct to you? And usually they say, well, because when I compare with other numbers, they don't match. And then you start to understand, what is this other number? Well, I do have this Google Sheet here that the former intern have prepared for me. And then you have two different numbers with a different name, right? Revenue, for example, in this hypothetical situation. But they are not the same number. And for me, it's a matter of expectation, right? The person that complains about it is expecting both numbers to be the same. But sometimes when you inquire this person, the person don't even know the definition of that number. When you ask, how was this number calculated on your Excel spreadsheet? Sometimes they just don't know, but this is the number that they are used to. They see it every day. And for them, this is their source of truth, right? So for me, collecting those expectations, documenting those expectations, and trying to reinforce those expectations like a contract, right? Okay, I'm understanding that you have two numbers that have different contents. They don't match, but they have different name. I do understand, but I would like to understand what does this number means for you? Can I collect your expectation? Can I document it? And then we can work on that. And this is where the data contracts plays a huge role.
I see. So I saw the challenge that you identified there of being a user who has several different sources where they get the data from, and those sources are not matched. And what they're using one source, so they have an expectation based on that source, and the other source doesn't match it. So we have mismatched expectations from different data sources. And what I've seen you do there is ask lots of questions to uncover this information and to uncover that misalignment, and then make a recommendation. Recommendation is, hey, let's document your expectations, and then let's make a data contract. So tell me about this data contract. I have heard the term before.
It's simple contract, as many other contracts that we have in our lives. So it's an agreement of expectations. What do you expect for this data? So it includes the data shape, how the data looks like. You want the customer name, the age, the register dates, and how many purchases does this customer has in this period of time, right? Do you want this daily? That's also fair. You don't expect this field to be null. That's also fair. If has a deviation of X% compared to the previous period, you want to be alerted. This is also fair. Let's just include it here on our contract. And then I can guarantee technically that the information that I'm delivering respect that contract. And every time that this contract is not respected, people are informed in different ways. And this is also part of the agreement. Some people prefer Slack, some people prefer email, some people prefer logging in the system and see information there.
Oh, Slack doesn't seem like a good place to store a data contract if it's an agreement of expectations and a...
It's not the contract itself, it's the warning that the contract has failed.
Okay. So who agrees to a data contract typically? Does it come from data leadership level, or can it simply be between an engineer or analyst and their customer?
Usually it goes through the whole data pipeline. So depends who is requesting a certain data, then can be an executive, can be machine learning engineer. So we document the expectations, we reinforce in every single level. So I would say this data contract applies to anyone. You can have different data contracts on top of the same data for different people also.
So is that common?
Concepts.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt. Please.
No, for different downstream consumers, I would say.
I see. Okay, so would it be quite commonplace for you to see ML engineers making contracts with product managers, for example, or sales users?
I would say that if you are in the data field, if you deliver data as outcome of your work, do a contract, right? Because it will not harm. It will just, because also you need to consider that you deliver something today based on certain assumptions, right? And you do these assumptions with certain people. If these people leave the company and new people arrive, they can see and they can look at the same data with different assumptions. This is a very common scenario. So you do something today, I'm here agreeing with you, what this data should look like, what are the information that are there, and we are happy. And then you leave tomorrow. And then another person come and start to blame that this data doesn't look correct because the expectations are different, right? When you document this expectation, and then you just say, okay, I do understand that this is not what you expect, but this is what this is for, and these are the assumptions that we use to build it. I'm happy to do a new set of assumptions with you, and let's do it. But it's not that it's wrong, right? The assumptions that we used to build, they were different, right?
And that's also assuming that the stakeholder knows what data to gather and why they're gathering it. I'm also thinking about the expectation for me as a recruiter that my clients have is that data scientists and ML engineers and analysts are much more commercially focused now. They do much more requirements gathering from stakeholders so that they understand the reasons, the whys they're working on that data. So yeah, it strikes me that both parties have to keep the business goals in mind when they're making these contracts.
Sure, I don't see any other way. The way that I see data teams in general nowadays is that they need to have much more consultative approach than that kind of approach that you just receive a requirement and then you build exactly what people ask you to do. This really doesn't work, right? So sometimes you need to support your stakeholder to shape what they want. Because sometimes they also don't know. They are also not data experts. They don't know which kind of data are you able to design, to collect, to design, to implement and make available. They are also not aware about how big is the volume of data that you are able to process in which time. So you really need to support them on that, using your previous experiences to shape a good contract.
Super, I like it. Thanks for sharing that. So if data contracting is one approach to maintaining good data quality, what other approaches might a leader or an individual contributor take to manage the quality of data?
I think that's something that plays a huge role is education, right? I think that we as data professionals, we need to raise awareness of data quality and educate people around data quality. I know that it's quite frustrating when you do a very hard work to deliver something, and then people sometimes start to complaining about it because their expectations are different, because they were not identified as a stakeholder in the beginning. Now they are having contact with data. They have a lot of concerns. But I feel that's part of our jobs, our data professionals, to acknowledge the frustrations that comes from our stakeholders, and then start to working on the education side. Look, I understand your frustration. However, these are the assumptions that were used. I'm happy to understand what do you have in mind, understand where the conflicts live, and work on incorporate your assumptions on this deliverable. And I can explain you why it's not like this, why it's not like that. Why do you need to think next time that you have something to request? Then you create this educational mechanism.
I like it. And I assume that that would come into the data contract as well.
Also.
Yeah. Okay. Are there any more kind of philosophical approaches to data quality, like a mindset that a individual contributor, like an engineer or a data scientist, might take towards their daily work?
I have a mantra. And
oh, okay. The mantra. I like it. Hit me.
And my mantra is like, every time that I need to face a problem, I think in 3 different variables of the problem: process, people, technology.
Okay.
Which are the process that I need to design or to revisit to solve this problem? What are my key stakeholders that I need to talk with or that I need to educate to support me to solve this problem? What is the technology that I need to use, that I have, or that I need to acquire to solve this problem? So those are the 3 pillars that I use to approach every single problem. And I really like it.
Angelita's mantra: people, process, and tech.
It's
Respect.
not mine. It's from someone else. I saw in a book. I need to be honest.
Sure. I think even as recruiters, when we do our work, we seek to learn about the people in your team, the processes that they follow, and also the technology that's needed. So I think it's to think across those 3 areas in data is valid for sure.
And you know why I like it? Because I have never seen a single problem in the data related field that you can solve just using technology. Of course, there are those small problems from day by day, but this huge data misconception or data quality problems, it's difficult to find a software that solves or a technology that solves your problem, right? So usually the technology is just part of the problem, but not the whole problem.
Okay. So we've talked about the problems, the challenges, the approaches. Tell me about what great might look like, what the resolutions that data professionals, data teams can see from having really finely tuned and high quality data.
I think that there is no high quality data without good communication. There is no high quality data without business understanding, because you can just make wrong assumptions as engineer. Doesn't matter how beautiful your software is, if it doesn't fulfill a business purpose, it's born dead. And I think that you need to learn every day, because technology changes fast. Methodologies, new approach to solve old problems, they also change every day. I think that you really need to be always up to date, and you need to understand the environment where you are working, because as I mentioned, for me, every company is a different society. And when you work in a
Mm.
company, you need to deal with the society rules and society philosophy. There are different levels of tolerances about the same problem in different companies. If you don't understand that, doesn't matter what you do, it's very difficult to succeed.
I see. And what does success look like? Where have you seen great?
Haven't seen great, but I think that the success for me is when you have a data quality issue, but you are able to discuss and explain and understand why things are how they are, and you take the very next step to make it better than before. I think it's very difficult to think in data quality as 100% of quality, because the cost of 100% can be quite high in some cases. But I think that if you are able to create an environment where you know your business, you know your customers' expectations, and you let them know that things are not as expected, you don't let them to discover by themselves. And when things happen, you are able to see it and discuss how to make it better. I think you are in a good place.
I see communication comes into a lot of this, let's say, communicating expectations, communicating an agreement, communicating the results. Yeah,
I think this is a very, sorry, just interrupt you. But I think that data related professionals without communication skills well developed, it's a very high risk, because for me, data teams, they have mixed skills, they have business knowledge and also technical knowledge. So they need to cover this bridge and between the technology and the business requirements, which I think it's crucial.
Okay. Approaching the end of our conversation, we look more to the future, or we look more to your recommendations, and that can be in the shape of career advice. So I'm thinking, for all the junior or aspiring data engineers out there, what can they be doing today, or what approach could they start to adopt to maintain the highest levels of data quality in their work? Even if they can't control all the other factors, what can they do as a data engineer to maintain highest quality?
I think that they can act as data evangelists, be that kind of person that is always trying to educate people that want to be educated about all the aspects of data. This person can also be part of the company onboarding for new members to present how the data department works, what is important, what are the things to take in consideration, keeping a very good source of technical and non-technical documentations when you produce a code. You should keep your comments there to let your colleagues know why are you applying this workaround on something that's not that good. You also need to consider that your consumers might not know everything that you know about data, right? Because usually we have this assumption that everybody has the same level of understanding about the same things, and this is not true. And not get upset when someone complains with you that the expected quality is not good. You might just have different assumptions about the same thing. I would start talking about the assumptions. I would start about the whys. And you might have seen that I quite didn't mention technologies involved. Doesn't mean that technology is not important here, but I do feel that there are several different technologies to fulfill the same purpose. It's important for us as data professionals keep us up to date with the most recent technologies, but technology by itself doesn't solve the data quality problem.
Okay, thank you. Communication, documentation, making no assumptions, keeping your cool. They have all been themes that have ran through the conversation. So yeah, clearly a focus point for you and your team members. And finally, I wonder, maybe it shouldn't be final, but I feel like we're being retrospective. Are there best practices that govern data quality for data engineers? Are there universal best practices?
Yeah. Be part as much as you can of the product features design. If you understand how a feature was designed, what is the feature purpose, you will be able to give better recommendations, have less blockers when you start to deliver your data pipelines and so on. Try to see yourself as someone that works for the business, but with tech stack. I think that this is a very good mindset, because when you position yourself, just I'm a technical person, I just understand code, in the data related fields doesn't play that good role, I would say. So you do need to understand the business and educate yourself.
Fantastic. To one of our earlier points about data professionals these days needing to have a very strong commercial skill set, you've spoken to it there as well. Understand product feature design, product feature purpose,
Life cycle.
The product life cycle, even the customer journey and what their experiences are. Get in the point of view or the perspective of a business person serving the customer. Very good. Angelita, it's all we've got time for today.
Oh, it was a great time together. I like it.
Super. Well, I look forward to having another conversation in the future. I wonder what other topics are equally as important to you.
I have some. I really like team building.
Okay.
And I really like data pipelines performance.
Okay.
And data storytelling. Yeah.
Team building, pipeline performance, and data storytelling.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, we'll leave it there for now until next time. And thank you so much, Angelita. We will be airing this or releasing this via the usual podcast platforms for people to pick up. And see you next time.